Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Reality Podcast. Today, we don't have just one, but actually two guests sharing with us their power packed lives with life changing initiatives.
The Mood Space, almost the perfect name to cater to the millennials and the Gen Z, is an online consulting platform for mental health needs.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Vidhi and Ria. This is our first duo podcast, and we wouldn't rather do it with anybody else. We can't wait to discuss your story and your journey to helping so many people around you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us, Anushka and Anupam. We're
Of course.
glad to be here with you guys.
Same here. So let's
Same
get
here.
right into it. So, you both, I'm sure, of all people, must have heard from many people that mental health isn't really a problem, or why should I pay to take care of my mental health? And what does it even mean, mental health? So, when you began your journey, how easy or how difficult was it for you to venture into this space?
Just like any other startup, we had our fears. We knew it was going to be very challenging. We faced a lot of setbacks initially, had people doubting us. Plus, being two women founders, we were also, thrown a lot of questions at being like, are you all doing this just for the time being? Are you all doing this just until you get married? Questions like that, which really demotivated us initially. But we stuck to it and we were like, this is something that we really want to do, no matter how challenging it is. And we tackled one thing at a time, and just, rallied through. That was our mission, which evolved through the whole process. Obviously, we started off with wanting to do just one-on-one counseling. Today, we're catering to corporates, we're catering to universities, and a lot of different organizations as well. We're doing work that we never really imagined that we would be doing today. So we've come a long way. But yeah, we initially faced a lot of questions from people. And I'm sure Vidhi can add on to that as well.
I think what I'll add is the first part, whether it was difficult or easy. I don't know about it being difficult or easy. It was definitely challenging, as Ria said, but at the same time, it was also extremely rewarding, right? The entire journey from when we started to as we kept tackling one concern at a time. Now, whether that was the lack of understanding, the stigma that it came with, really addressing the concerns of access to therapy, right? Because that was also one of the main concerns where people were not used to having an online space to conduct therapy sessions and be with a psychologist and also find a safe space online. So I think the rewarding journey was as we tackled one thing at a time, it kept kind of reinforcing the fact that what we're doing is right. And and obviously the biggest challenge was obviously garnering the right interest, support and awareness. And we spent a lot of our efforts into psychoeducating people, like you said, why would I pay for mental health, and really kind of talking to people and making them understand that just the way you would probably do that for your physical health, or you would go out on a Thursday night or on a Friday night and have a couple of drinks or like have dinner and spend a couple of dollars or a couple of rupees on it. Similarly, this is also something that you need to invest in, because if that is self-care for you, this is going to double up into a lot more self-care over time. And that was difficult, but at the same time, like I said, there was a lot of interest coming in eventually. And it also helped us somewhere do that level of psychoeducation to talk to people and explain that we are here to destigmatize and we're going to keep doing it till we don't crack it. And and we're going to bombard you throughout your social channels with content in relation to mental health. So when you question is what does mental health even mean, you will get all of that information at the Mood Space. So even way before we started therapy sessions, Ria and I spent 6 months just building the right content that is relatable. And that's what matters the most, right? You can use all sorts of technicals, but at the same time, if it's not relatable, then it's not going to work. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a rewarding journey.
I'm sure. And actually, this, I would say, is a form of self-care, right? For some people, having a few drinks relaxes their mind, but this is actually directly doing that. So,
Yeah. And what we really need to understand is that it is an issue. It is a concern that people are not able to see. When you get hurt physically, you're able to see it maybe.
Mhm.
Here, you're experiencing it. Everyone is experiencing it, but you're not able to see it. So we are here to make you see it. And hence, when COVID came along, mental health has been referred to as the shadow pandemic. Because it's such a big concern that has risen with COVID coming along
Mhm.
as well. So we will be here to educate and create that awareness and give you that support. All we need is some time of yours, I guess.
Definitely. I think talking about the physical and the mental health, I also feel that it's like on the same level. I've seen people who get affected by COVID and they're mentally like worse than the COVID itself. It's like they just left the whole thing like this is
Yeah,
break. So yeah, I think mental health is a real thing. Like so,
absolutely.
you guys are like super motivated to start this. So we wanted to know like where did it all begin? Like how did you guys from the day one? Like what's your story of the movie? How did you guys meet and how did you guys like okay, let's just do this?
So, Vidhi and I actually went to boarding school together in Singapore in the year 2007. And then we coincidentally ended up at the same university. So, we were roommates in boarding school, and then we ended up being roommates in university as well in Virginia. And after we graduated, we still stayed in touch. We were still really good friends. And we'd meet frequently, almost every year. At that point, I was living in the US. Vidhi had moved back to India for a bit, and then she came back to the US for her masters. So throughout the years, we were constantly in touch. Um, and then we met at a friend's wedding in 2019 in February, and that's when we started seriously talking about wanting to doing something together. And her background was in psychology. She was practicing as a counselor in India at that point. She had done her master's in counseling from Columbia. I was working in the US, and my background was in marketing and HR. So we, put our brains together and tried to figure out what is something that we could potentially work on. And my sister at the time was seeking online therapy from a platform in the US called BetterHelp. So, we started discussing ideas, and this came to mind that, why don't we do something like this in India? Because I don't see any online platforms. There's so much stigma in a country like India, where people are scared to even go to a therapist's office because they don't want to be seen there. Like, what if I run into somebody there? Or it's just inconvenient to have to go to a therapist's office in general. So we started brainstorming ideas, and an online platform seemed to be a good option. And this was all pre-COVID, right? So we were just like, we were talking to therapists, and they said that we prefer not to do sessions online because you can't see the gestures, you can't see the body language. So they were very resistant to it initially, and said that we prefer doing in-person sessions. So it was kind of breaking the norm essentially, and uh, we we were really hesitant at that point that, are we making the right move? Like, is this something that will work in a country like India? But we decided to go with it anyway and give it a shot. And sooner or later, COVID hit, and everyone had to go online. So we ended up, in a space where we were excelling, like from not knowing whether online was going to work or not. We were in the right space at the right time. We had already spent a year building content, building our website, and exploring the space a little bit. So when COVID hit, we were a lot better prepared. We had to scale up very quickly, but it was we amped up operations, hired more therapists, And yeah, like we said earlier, tackle one thing at a time.
Yeah.
And here we are today, 2 years later. I don't know. I've said this story so many times, so I tend to forget bits and pieces of the story. But in that is it in a summary, like we were just talking about it and wanting to do something together, figure out how our backgrounds would fit well with each other.
Mhm.
And this seemed like an option that was non-existent in India. So that's how it all came about.
There are not a lot of businesses that can say they did really well during COVID. So just kudos to that, for you guys, because honestly, COVID has negatively affected, like you guys said, many, many people, and more than, like Anupam was mentioning earlier, the physical impact of it. I think the fact that you're put into a room for 14, if not 21 days, self-isolating, you're basically locked in a cage with your thoughts and your thoughts only, where the world is always running around and there's so many distractions. Now you have no choice but to battle your own inner demons. So I
Yeah.
definitely agree that something like this is very, very important.
Interesting that you say that, because it's not just COVID, right? It's also long COVID, which are like the long-term implications of COVID that persist after you've actually spent those 14 days in quarantine and suffered with COVID. You still have symptoms that will stay long term, like for months after. And anxiety is one of the biggest side effects of COVID. So we've seen a lot of people, I've seen for people in my personal circle, suffer with it. And actually, it's affected them a lot, where day-to-day activities were a challenge, and not just being able to be your 100%, and it's taken a while to get back to feeling remotely normal. So that's also one of the concerns that COVID brought to the table.
Yeah, definitely. And I've noticed like people have been like in complete isolation. This is the first time in their life they've been in isolation for 14 days and they get to know themselves. And then I feel like most of them are afraid to know that and they want to be within the circle, but in isolation, they like find a new self. So yeah, definitely COVID has
Yeah.
Bringa. So this is another question from my side. So like it's a startup, right? So what was like the difference? The difference, the first difference you saw in a user, like a significant impact, which brought which brought joy to your purpose. Like, okay, we finally made it. Like, okay, one user, he's so happy. Like, what was that instance?
I don't know if there's just one instance. There are probably a series of instances which constantly reassured us that we are on the right path and we are impacting lives. It's not about a client, but one instance that comes to mind is the Year to Year program that we launched. It's basically a completely free program where anyone could sign up for a 30-minute de-stress call with either a qualified listener or a psychologist. And we launched this in the second wave when we realized that there's a lot more people who probably need support. There are some who are able to afford it, but there are a whole lot many who are not able to afford it at this point of time. So we launched it as a completely complimentary service where anyone could come in and book. And the first 2 days, we got over 300 to 400 people sign up. And that's when we realized that, listen, what we're doing is not small. The number may be 300, 400, but it was a very big number and a big realization point for us that if there are so many people who are able to sign up for calls within 2 days, that means that there is a lot more out there than we are not doing. So it kind of just pushes us to do more in terms of reaching our goal to impact people and impact lives and do better. So yeah, and all of these calls are de-stress calls, right? People who are coming in and who are extremely anxious, like Ria mentioned, it could be COVID related, it could be long COVID related, or like Anushka, you were saying, like a lot of people are not able to afford this, they have somewhere lost their jobs. There is so many things that are coming on with that anxiety, right? Relationship concerns, being confined in a space for 14 days, it's not normal. And And somewhere we need to start realizing that and start addressing that. And all of these calls that came in were pretty much about wanting to talk about their anxiety, their stressors when it came to, even for example, education. A lot of students have no idea what they're doing and what they will be doing, or their internships have moved online when practical experience is something that people are looking for when they graduate. So and this would be from people who are 13 years old to people who are 80 years old, right? We saw a whole range of people reaching out. And that's when you realize that the trauma and the grief that people are facing is not at an individual level, it is at a collective level. And we felt, again, like it was a really rewarding experience where we got our reassurance that what we're doing is right.
And just to add to that, I think to answer Anupam's question, like Vidhi said, it's not just one instance, it's, a combination of multiple things. One of the things that we do on a frequent basis is do regular check-ins with our clients to see how they are feeling, how their progress has been. Vidhi and I do personal calls with clients as well after they have terminated their therapy sessions, just to find out how they found the process. So during that, we really hear a lot of things that people felt during their sessions, how it helped them, how much better they're doing now. And then we also send out a feedback form at the end of their therapy session. So a lot of people genuinely take the time to write down their thoughts on how their therapist helped them come a long way, and they're in a much better place now. So I think reading those testimonials always is very satisfying and, like Vidhi said, rewarding. So yeah, that keeps us going.
That's great. And I hope that keeps you going a long way, because for me and for you guys, I hope this is really just the start. So you guys earlier mentioned actually one of the biggest, I guess, hindrances for you was when you went to the psychologist or the therapist in the beginning, and they said, you know what, we prefer doing sessions face to face. You get to see the person, you get to, take back from their vibe and accordingly know how to structure the session. So when you first started and you obviously needed licensed therapists to be on the other end to be able to help these people, how did you convince them to give it a shot, or how did you convince them to get onto the platform and just try it out?
I don't think it was too much of a convincing, I would say, because online therapy has been around for a long time. It's just not being done at a larger scale. The biggest challenge comes across when therapists come and tell us that we're not able to see and feel the same vibe. When you're in the same room, and the way you kind of are able to see the body language and feel the person in the room, that is something that you're not able to do. But at the same time, when it comes to video sessions, which is primarily what the Mood Space offers, you are seeing the person, you're talking to the person has a safe space. It kind of opens up a lot of doors for not only the clients but also for therapists overall, right? Because here there are therapists who are in tier 2 and tier 3 cities who are confined to just their city. Now they're able to see clients who are based all over India, and some are even based abroad, and wanting to work with South Asian therapists, because we do offer therapy to South Asians across the globe. So it kind of opens up doors not only for clients, like I said, but also for therapists in that manner that they're able to kind of widen their caseload. So I don't look at it as a challenge when it comes to getting therapists on board, but the whole community is new, right? So taking therapy sessions, taking notes, like the way the process goes is probably newer, but it gives therapists a lot more, a lot larger space to evolve and grow while working with clients. And it also gives us the liberty to match the client to the right therapist. We don't have to worry about which city they're in. The convenience overall becomes a lot higher.
And I would say also luck played a big factor. Initially, we started off with 3 or 4 therapists, and they were willing to give this a shot and try out something new. I remember personally getting onto LinkedIn and shooting out messages to potential therapists that I thought would be a good fit, getting in touch with them, doing initial rounds of interviews and explaining the mission, and all of that. And Vidhi and I both did that for some time to get in touch with therapists and, tell them about what we had in mind. And I think we got really lucky with the talent that we were able to find. A lot of them stayed with us for a very long time. Some are still with us, some have moved on to do their masters and PhDs, but I would say we got extremely lucky with some really good talent that helped us, not just doing the bare minimum of taking therapy, but also growing the company as they grew. So I would say we really lucked out.
LinkedIn is the way to go, huh?
Yeah.
Connections. Okay, so by the nature of the mental health, so that you interact with a lot of people, they have their own problems, other stories, and a lot of people associated with that. So, and in such case, the conversations can go deeper, intense, as well as emotional, right? So, do you have a method of preventing these heavy emotions from transferring from your client to your lives?
That's a tough one. I think it takes a lot for therapists, especially, to kind of take in so much that they're talking to clients on a daily basis. They're seeing up to like 20, 25 clients in a week. So it's definitely challenging. But from our end, we have to set a certain processes, which most therapists would learn over time. Like, for example, simple things like self-care, right? How are you setting your time aside? Are you taking out 15 minutes a day to just be by yourself, to reflect on your thoughts, to reflect on your emotions? We talk about doing regular check-ins to see, if there is a client who is extremely challenging or it's extremely overwhelming to deal with the client. We have check-ins going on with our therapists. We are doing supervision, individual supervision, group supervision, where the group is able to meet together and find their own safe space. Just the way they're giving clients safe space, they also need their safe space. And at the same time, being in therapy, right? And that is something we do believe that everyone should experience what therapy is like at some point in their lives. So, including Ria and I, we take therapy and we don't feel ashamed to kind of talk about it, because um, to prevent those emotions, you need to another place to kind of release, and not only release about the clients but also about your personal lives, because there could be so much that is going on. So we're constantly recommending and encouraging our team, that's not only the therapists but also the marketing teams and everyone, to take sessions, practice basic mindfulness exercises, and understand where you are, right? And how are you trying to gain more insight? You're in a space that is overwhelming, so how do you gain more insight into your thoughts? How are the thoughts kind of trickling down into actions that you're taking within your personal lives or within your professional lives, right? And how do we kind of try to avoid a stage of burnout? So with constant check-ins, reviews, encouraging self-care is something that we're constantly promoting to be able to prevent those heavy emotions, as you called it.
For sure.
Perfect. So with that, we segue into a little part of our podcast that we like to call the Spill the Tea segment. So we wanted to channel some fun into this podcast section after having all these insightful conversations. So it's very simple. I'm sure you guys have heard of Coffee with Karan's Rapid Fire. So consider this our very own twist on it. Essentially, we'll ask you some fun, wacky questions, and you have to try and answer as quickly as you can. Ready?
We'll try.
Cool. So we'll alternate for each one of you, and then we'll end with a question for both of you. All right.
Okay.
So I'll start with Vidhi. New York or Mumbai?
Mumbai now.
Okay.
Not earlier.
Okay. All right. This is for Ria. Describe your time in Virginia in 3 words.
Super fun. Well, that was 2 words. Just fun, beautiful, and it was a very quaint little town. So I would say I would use the word quaint.
Sounds good.
That wasn't just 3 words.
That was sentences. We'll pick out 3.
We'll pick out 3. Yes.
Okay, cool. So this one's for both of you, and you guys can pick who wants to go first and who the other person is to buy some time. But what's your go-to pick-me-up food, and where is it from?
Go to pick me up food. Just for my reference, what's a pick me up food?
So like say you've had a really long day and you're really, really tired and you're looking like forward to one dish that you know you'll just have and it'll make your day amazing again. What's that for you?
Burrito bowl. Anytime, like Chipotle style.
Oh, okay.
Good
I
deal.
did that a lot when I was in New York. Like at the end of the day, I would just go to any Chipotle and just get it and eat it.
Yes.
Chipotle is really famous.
I second that.
among students, yeah.
Ria, yours?
I would say chaat, like any form of chaat, whether it's like safe puri, bhel puri, all of that junk street food. That's my favorite.
Both
Sure.
start with C, Chipotle and chaat. We might just name our episode that actually.
Yes, this is for Vidhi. So, what's your favorite part about going to UWC?
The people I met
Mhm.
at UWC,
Including Ria.
including Ria.
Perfect. So for Ria, what was your favorite Singaporean snack?
There was this dish called curry puff that we would get at like this market very close to where our school was, in a place called Holland Village. So I think I would go for that.
Nice. Have you guys tried the ice kachang?
No, what is that?
That's like the
Ice.
golas, you know, like those things you get in India. That, right?
Kind of, yeah. It's gola, but in very large form. So it was the gola, basically the
Oh,
gola
yeah.
crumbled and then like
Yeah.
ice and a lot of sugary syrup on it. I'm surprised you guys haven't tried this. So now you have to go back
I've
to
had
Singapore.
a lot of it in India, but just not in Singapore. I don't know.
Now you guys
I
have to
don't
go back
remember having it in Singapore.
But I do remember going out to those places and having those roti parathas.
Mm,
They used to have those. Obviously, we're vegetarians, so
so nice.
we would have to like scout for these things. But those roti parathas, they would have it some curry, and that used to be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to have these places called HDBs,
Okay.
where they would have like these small little cafes where they would serve all these roti parathas.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to Singapore many times, which is why I feel like I know too much, which is controversial because I'm from Hong Kong and you should not know so much about another city that's so similar to yours. But
Right.
that's all good. Okay.
Yeah, this one is for both of you guys. Okay, so describe each other in 3 words.
Whoa!
Pass.
And Ria, this time you can't give us sentences because we
Yeah.
won't help you pick out. So you have to give us 3 words.
3 words.
I'll go first.
Perfect.
Yes.
Good cop. That's one word. Just
With a
mind
hyphen in between. Cool.
the hyphen in between.
Mhm.
Go getter.
Also another
With
word
a
with a hyphen in
hyphen, with a
between.
hyphen in between.
Okay.
And hashtag my safe space. So there is no
Oh.
spaces in between. So good cop, my safe space, go getter.
Perfect.
That's
Aw.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah, the
Start
bar
with-
set pretty high.
I know. Stressed.
You know, when it,
I would say empathetic, good listener.
With a hyphen in between.
Yeah, with a hyphen in between. And fun.
Oh, that's great. Thank you guys so much. With that, we've come to an end of our podcast. Thank you so much for being here. And we're so glad we were able to do it finally. Thank you for sharing with us your raw stories. And hopefully we were able to end on a positive note after all of those difficult, I would say, conversations that otherwise people don't have. So thank you.
Thanks so much for having us. This was great.